Hello. Chapter 7 of This Freedom Whence, England Before and After Wesley. This chapter is entitled The Shaping of a Crusade. John Wesley is now truly converted. It's 1739. In his works, published in 1872, he says this: Christianity is essentially a social religion. To turn it into a solitary religion is indeed to destroy it. And he also says this in his early pamphlet, Character of a Methodist. This is back in 1742. For opinions and terms let us not destroy the work of God. Dost thou love and fear God? It is enough. I give thee the right hand of fellowship. Well, that's John Wesley's attitude to his fellow Anglicans and others who are non-enthusiasts, but it's not their attitude towards him. So this chapter, The Shaping of a Crusade, begins. Long has it been fashionable in rationalist circles to patronize, to ridicule or caricature the evangelical movement on the score that it made no philosophical contribution to religious or political thought. Sir Leslie Stephen, one of the most brilliant stars in the rationalist firmament, comparing the evangelical revival with the great religious movement of the preceding century, delineates the new Puritanism as but a faint reflection of the grander Puritanism of the 17th century. Bready goes on, now the creative capacity of the movement that threw up a Milton, a Cromwell, a Bunyan, a Hampden, a Baxter, and a Fox, no one will question. Nevertheless, Stephen's criticism, and all others based solely upon philosophical theoretic standards, are far from the mark. For it is impossible to peruse the documents of the 18th century revival without realizing that it made no pretense of formulating a new philosophy, nor had it any desire to do so. It was satisfied with the doctrinal statement of religion expressed in the Articles of the Creed, while also it accepted unhesitatingly the gospel ethic as a revelation of life's deeper meaning, to which all true Christians of whatever denomination were committed. Had not Bishops Berkeley and Butler already engaged in brilliant philosophical speculations, and were not the masses oblivious to their existence? To Wesley, armchair philosophies had no appeal. He was, at many points, a religious pragmatist before the advent of pragmatism. With an acute sensitiveness born of his conversion, he beheld the drunkenness, the ignorance, the vice, misery, poverty of teeming multitudes of his fellows, and he had an unflagging faith that the Spirit of the living God could restore the divine image, even in the souls of the most degraded. While as for rational speculation, he was skeptical that it alone could ever achieve such effect. Had not rationalism already had its chance, and were not its fruits sour? Had it not degenerated into cackling cleverness and sophisticated stupidity? Was it not far removed from the sources, and hence devoid of the sagacities of living wisdom? Wesley's supreme purpose was to make men vitally conscious of God. He therefore had no desire to dogmatize on the mystery of redemption. Rather was he actuated by an impelling passion to be used of God as a humble but active instrument in the work of redemption. With prophetic insight, he recognized the demons which were luring millions of his countrymen into the labyrinths of moral corruption and spiritual death. And challenging the sway of those demons, he set about to release their victims. He saw the ecclesiastical machinery of his generation rusty and clogged with dust. He chafed to cleanse it and set it in motion for the redemption of his people. His purpose was not to formulate a new theology or a new theory of church and state, but to touch dead bones with the breath of spiritual power and to make them live, to release the winds of heaven that they might blow upon the ashy embers of religion and kindle a purging, illuminating fire of righteousness and truth. He would substitute for the bondage of sin the liberty, individual and social, of men reborn in Christ. He would revive life-giving faith. Next time, the practical nature of the revival. I'll put in a link to the playlist back to the beginning of Brady's discussion of the travail of the land from the end of the Puritan period up until Wesley's arrival around 1740.